Hello everyone, you joined me for day 9, which could be called the final day of the IAE this year. However, it isn't quite because we still have the best in show to come. So for today we do have RSI day, as you can see, which means we can talk about the galaxy in a little while. But on the show floor for offering today, if you come to rent some of these ships, which I highly recommend you do if you've been following the free flight all week and beyond, is the Constellation series. And the Constellation series is a staple of Star Citizen. It has been since day 0, since they started putting the first Mark 1 constellations in game. And although we don't have all of the mechanics for all of the Constellation variants in game right now, we do have all of the variants of the ships. So there's 4 of them in total. Excuse my throat. And we'll go round the room first and do those, and then we'll do the 2 at the back. So, starting off this side, we have the Taurus, and the Taurus is the one that doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It is a freight ship, so it's a cargo runner, and it just has the hull and a basic loadout of weapons, and I think 1 turret in its ship. It does not have a snub fighter in the back, but yeah, it is the cheapest and most obvious version of the Constellation if you want to upgrade to them. Moving on, we go from the cheapest to the most expensive. And this is the Constellation Phoenix. This is still one of my favourite ships in-game. I don't have one at the minute, neither in the hangar nor one owned via in-game credits. I do still need to pick one up at some point because they are still one of my favourite ships. You know I like my luxury ships. And that's what this is. It's a luxury tourer, so it's got things like a big bar in it and a fish tank, and they've even based the new set of Star Citizen Live off the bar of the Constellation Phoenix, so it's very, very cool. It is, like I said, one of my favourite ships in game. Lots of guns on this. It has a small, you could call it like, I think it's meant to be like a smuggler's cargo hold, like the Millennium Falcon, where it can't be scanned. It's got the snub fighter on the back, so in the rear, on the butt end, if we can go around this side, you can see it's got the P-72 Archimedes docked into it for use as a snub fighter, or if you just want to take it out and joyride for a bit. And now we also, of course, have the mechanics in game that allows you to do that, so you can indeed undock it and fly it around for giggles. Moving over to the other side, people renting these ships. Moving over to the other side, we have the Aquila, which is the exploration variant with its big sweeping canopy here, which I think they really should add this to all of the connies. They shouldn't have kept this to just this one. I think they're still missing a trick not putting that on all of them. And this one is the exploration variant. One of these is a turret and one of them is a scanning dish. I can't remember which one is which. So you can scan for jump points and stuff, or just, you know, data scan for planets wherever you're going to go. It also has a cargo hold, and it has a snub fighter as well. It does not have the P-72, only the Phoenix has that. The Aquila has the P-52 Merlin, so the ballistic variant with a giant minigun up front as opposed to laser cannons like the P-72 has. So this is a great ship as well. When I first started my sort of upgrade path to ships, I had an Aquila for such a long time, and I love this thing to bits. Even though we didn't have the exploration mechanics, all of the Constellations are fantastic all-rounder ships. And they're great fun to fly and have bits blown off and lawn dart and do all sorts of funny things with them. And last but no means least is kind of the middle ground of the Constellations is the Andromeda, which is the sort of jack-of-all-trades ship. It doesn't have a specific niche. It's meant as like a mercenary version of the Constellation, so it's got it's got turrets, it's got a cargo hold, it has the P-52 Merlin docked to the back. It doesn't have a specific special use case. It is just like a generic ship to fly around and use and enjoy the game with. So this is the sort of middle ground you want to go for if you're thinking of picking up a Constellation. Whereas the others have their niche, and basically if you want a Constellation but you want it with a snub fighter, then pick up the Andromeda because then you get the P-52. Elsewhere in this hall, we have the Mantis, which is the Warbond upgrade ship for today, I believe, so you can do like a discounted Warbond upgrade to it. I have one of these. As I explained in the MISC day yesterday, I upgraded my referral reward Razor into one of these because it cost me like £10. It wasn't expensive at all. Because I keep meaning to do a video with it for fun, where I just sit in a very highly used traffic route and just turn on the quantum device for giggles and see how many ships I can snare. So if you don't know this ship, it is the interdiction device ship. So if you get stopped in quantum with your ship shaking all over the place, and you look around and there's a few of the ships, and one of those ships has a big angry glaring red light of, you know, big sphere of red light, then it's going to be this thing which is stopping you from exiting or entering quantum. So this is what's capturing you. So these are great fun. They aren't dogfighters in their own right, even though they have some missiles and laser cannons. They're meant to just stop you getting away. Whereas if you're in one of these, this is what is meant to kill you. This is the Scorpius. This was RSI's latest offering before the Galaxy. And this is a two-seater heavy fighter. Best way to describe this, as everyone else will, is it looks like an X-Wing. Can't see much of it from down here, but these are fantastic fun to use. It has a big turret on top. If I can back away a little bit, you may be able to use it. It looks like someone sat in it and has been swinging it around. But yeah, it has a big gun on top that can maneuver around and then swing around underneath, so it can fire backwards, just like this. So this thing can track upwards on top, but you need someone in the gunner seat to do that. So like I said, it's best utilised with two people, not just flying it on your own. But it is armed to the teeth. You can see it's got missiles everywhere, and lots of guns, heavy guns. So what else have we got on this hall? I believe if we go this way, having looked at the map on my way in, this is where our next things will be. So as we swing round into this hall, we can see we have the Aurora line, as well as another Mantis that they put in here to make it pretty. So the Auroras are old as heck in Star Citizen. They're like one of the first ships that was put into the game. That does not make them any lesser of a spaceship though, and if you bought, you know, the cheapest pack to get you into the game, odds are you bought an Aurora. You probably bought this one, which is the MR, which is why I ran straight towards it. There are various variants of them, as you can see. Like, I'm not sure if this is a military one, LN. I genuinely cannot remember the designations for these, even though they each have their own little pedestal. There's a luxury one, not sure if this is it. Yeah, the LX I know is supposed to be the more luxury of them all. Not sure what that might entail. But they're still a fun little ship to get yourself into the game and fly around with. It doesn't make them any less of a spaceship. You're just sort of limited on what you can do with them. You can still do box missions, you can still fly around and do combat, you can still explore every piece of what the game has to offer right now, short of doing niche content like mining and such. But it just limits you in scope of what you may want to do. And then of course, once you do think about upgrading, you fall into the dangerous path of wanting to upgrade to other ships. And then upgrade to another ship, and then you're hooked, and that's what Star Citizen does to you. So, Aurora line, basic ship, still fun to fly, like I said, just a bit limited in scope of what you can do eventually with them. Now, I think that's the only hall that this event day has occupied, so we can go downstairs into the concept hall, where there's probably some ground vehicles, and a very specific hologram that we need to look at. Right then, we wend our way downstairs, and we have the Tumbril. It's not a Tumbril, it's the Ursa rover. I'm even looking at the name of it and I get the name wrong. It's not Tumbril at all. I'm just still got my mind on Cyclones from earlier on and Rangers. So this is the staple rover that we have in game at the moment. It's the only kind of big rover that we have in game at the moment until we get offerings from Origin, and other companies will eventually be available. But this is still a very fun thing to drive. It has a cannon which can deploy, if I can find it. Here it is. So it swings up onto the roof, and it's meant for excursions in areas where there's no atmosphere, because it has an atmosphere inside. You can indeed step inside. We do like our our Ursa rovers. 2 people driving, and then you can have some more people sat in the back. And there's just another one over here. There's this one, and then there's, I think I actually own the one from the St. Patrick's Day event, which is a green one. So the Emerald Ursa. I think it has another name. I can't remember what it is, but it's just green. And I do believe there's other skins and stuff you can get for it. But it's a pretty simple thing. It's very fun. It fits inside the cargo bays of all of the constellations. I believe even the Phoenix as well. It can just about squeeze in. So yeah, this is a very worthy thing to take around. Ships that do get rovers like the 600i Exploration, and I believe the 890 Jump as well. There may be a couple of others. They're more relevant to me, which is why I know those two. That are meant to have like the Origin rovers currently get these as loaners, so you do have these as well to use. If we pan around this side, I believe this is just going to be chairs again, isn't it? Yeah, so we can go into the concept halls, where this is probably going to get a little bit more chatty. And here we go. Is this what I think it is? This is the Perseus. This isn't the Galaxy. So the Perseus is the... I'm not sure if it's a miner. No, so this is a big gunship. Yeah, so the Perseus is one of the newer offerings from RSI. Still in concept, kind of like the Polaris, which is meant to be like a big corvette. The Perseus is just a big gunboat, kind of like RSI's version of the Hammerhead, which we already have. However, they are still in concept. I can't really say much about these. I'm not going to be a big military pilot person, so I'm sure this floats a lot of people's boats, just not specifically mine. You can see it's just going to have these giant cannons up front, designed to shred capital class ships. So things like my beloved 890. Into this area. This is the Galaxy, so this is where the conversation will begin. It looks similar to the Perseus that we just looked at, however, when you see it from a different view, sort of on top, it looks a little bit different. Right now it just looks exactly like a Andromeda from Elite Dangerous, so even more so looking at the front of it. From the top it looks like it's had sort of the bridge of a constellation mashed into half of the hull of an RSI Apollo that's then been welded into an Andromeda from Elite Dangerous. That's how it looks to me anyway. This ship has been put on the store today at, I think it was $350, so £380 war bond, if you're going to use new money to buy it. And then, obviously, higher price if you're using store credit or such to buy it. It is meant as a multi-role ship, so it can have a hospital thing in it. So it's got a module inside, kind of like the 600 series, that can be switched out. It has a hospital version, a refinery version, and a cargo version. So sort of 3 variants for the ship. No exploration version, which I think is a trick they missed, because this would be a full exploration ship, but not everything can be an exploration ship. Yeah, and as I made a comment on Board Gamers chat earlier on when he was doing a live stream about a stampeding herd of drama llamas that have been following this thing, and it hasn't really been that bad. There's just been a little bit of beef from backers again when we have another big, air quotes, big ship like this that's been put into concept, when there's so many ships in the pipeline already that haven't been finished, and there's been lots of discussion on it would take something like 35 dev years or something to make all of the ships that are in the pipeline, based on something that one of the developers said in a Star Citizen Live, and yeah, just comments and comments and comments. Now I'm sure if you're watching this and you've seen all the beef that's been going on, you want to hear what I have to think. And what I have to think is that I don't mind them using the ship model that they have to do to keep paying the bills to make the game. But I just hope that they manage to knuckle down and get Squadron 42 finished. Because once they've got Squadron 42 finished and out the door, regardless of whether it's part 1 or whatever the hell it's going to be, a lot more development time can go towards the actual thing of Star Citizen. As for the, am I really looking forward to Star Citizen or Squadron 42? Both. I looked into Squadron 42 as a fantastic space game, and Squadron 42 is just going to be an amazing single-player journey with God knows how many A-list actors in it that they managed to get into it in the end. So yeah, I'm not all that fussed. It is mainly because the ship itself doesn't appeal to me. It's not one I want. And I imagine, seeing people are going to see this and they're going to purchase it and they're going to be like, oh, I want my Galaxy. Whereas there's people still waiting for, like, their Banu Merchantman and the Perseus that we just looked at behind us, and the Polaris especially. So the Polaris has been in the concept for a long time. I imagine there's going to be a Polaris hologram around here somewhere. And yeah, look, there it is. Speak of the devil, this is a Polaris. So this is a Corvette that's got a hangar in it. And lots of people pledged for this thing donkeys years ago, and this thing's been in concept forever, and so many people have cried out for this thing to be finished because they want this cool gunship with a hangar in it. And since then we've had the Perseus concept, now we've got the Galaxy concept, we've had gigantic Misk Odyssey concept, and more Misk ships that have been, so they keep bringing in these ships. What is this one that haven't been finished yet? Oh, this is the medevac ship. This is another concept that was announced since the Polaris was brought forth donkeys years ago. So there's so many ships, 3 of which in this hologram here have not been anywhere near finished. and they haven't, you know, they've just been announcing more concepts, and it's just pissed people off a little bit, which is understandable. But like I said, I'm not really that fussed. So long as they get Squadron 42 finished and they keep the development going, they do develop ships in parallel. They don't just develop one off the bat, because they do want to keep the sort of money rolling in. Then hopefully we'll get Squadron 42 done before long. And once Squadron 42 is out the door and making its own money, the development will track back to Star Citizen before it needs to go back to the next area of Squadron 42 or whatever they're going to do next. So I'm not really that fussed. They need to keep the money coming in the door. I say it over and over again, even though I do tend to drop little bits of money now and again. I've kind of purchased everything I want. I've got my 890, I have my Carrack, I've got some other ships in between I want to use, and unless there's something, as I stated yesterday, where they bring out some amazing exploration ship, I'm not going to drop any more large amounts of money on this game. I might just buy like subscriber flare and stuff because I like the suits of armour and weapons that they let us buy. So yeah, mixed opinion on this. I don't want this ship, not my kind of ship, but I appreciate that it's going to make a lot of people angry because of the constant pipeline of ships that we keep getting without completed models. But they need to make money. That's how the ship model, unfortunately, is how the game is making money. There isn't another way to do it right now, until we get something like Squadron 42 where it will have a revenue stream from the game itself, apart from other people who pre-ordered it. So, oh, that was a lot, wasn't it? That is day 9 in a nutshell, and tomorrow is the Best in Show day. So tomorrow is where we get to see my beloved Carrack with its shiny new skin. I don't know what's... I think they're getting red skins this time, aren't they? So that's going to make the Carrack look incredible. The Mercury Star Runner gets one as well as the Pisces Expedition, I believe. And there's another ship. I can't remember what it was. Someone said it in the chat earlier on. See if I can find it. Nope, it's gone. So yeah, there's 4 ships that get the skin. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Carrack. And I'm also hoping that we get the Warbond daily deals for all of the... ship days that we had as well, because as I said, there's a really good money deal from upgrading my Hercules to a 600i, which is what I want to do, so that I have the rework to look forward to for the 600i. So that is all of the ship days for IAE. This one will be around for another 48 hours, so if you are doing the free fly, please come down and check it out. The Constellations are fantastic ships to fly in game and mess around with. And then that will be another year of November anniversary sales and the November event done. So join me again for the Best in Show day and some other stuff. Take care. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you like this and think I deserve it, please give it a like, consider subbing if you fancy sticking around. If you're thinking of taking part in the game, feel free to use my referral code on screen or click the link below for bonus in-game money that helps me out as well. See you in the next one.